Hello and thank you for joining me today. I'm going to put together another Eat, Play, Love layout, a scrapbooking layout, a double page spread. I'm going to just focus mainly on this left side because there's a little bit involved with the explanation, and the left page is really the hero page. So for this one I've kept the right page fairly simple, and I've already adhered everything on this one, but the process and the techniques I'm going to show you I'm doing on the left page as well. So to try and keep the video a bit shorter, we're just going to focus on this. I've used the Eat, Play, Love collection, as I've mentioned, the papers, and I've also used the Cricut collection as well. And the scrapbook page that's included in the Cricut collection have these gorgeous doilies on it. So I've deconstructed it all and put a few of my own designs in and a few Cricut cuts from Flower Market as well to make some leaves. And I decided that it would be a good idea to try vellum on the Cricut for the first time. And after a lot of help from some fellow close to my heart makers, I've worked out how to cut vellum successfully for the first time. Of course, I decided that I would try it out with this quite intricate cut. So obviously it's easier to cut it when you're just doing a more basic shape, but I'm really happy with how these doilies look and how they've turned out. The basis of this page has been inspired by Missy Whidden. She did a layout, and I'll put a link to it in below in the description, using doilies down the page, and I really wanted to try and replicate that and do something with this gorgeous paper. I just love how this doily cuts out. In the Close to My Heart scrapbooking page, it's a lot bigger on the page. There's two fairly large ones, but I wanted to see if I could do it on a smaller one. So I did a test with some older cardstock, and this is so pretty. I'm going to have to use this on another page. It took me a few cuts to work out what settings and everything to put it on, but basically the normal settings work fine. Light cardstock for light paper. You can use the vellum setting for vellum or just cardstock, but a brand new mat and a very sharp new blade works really well with the Cricut to get the cut that you need. So I'm going to use these on another project later. I just wanted to show you how they look. One of the techniques I wanted to show you today was some ink smushing. I'm using French vanilla cardstock as the background layout, and that's the cardstock that's recommended with this kit. And the vellum, while you can see it, I wanted to bring it to light a little bit more. So I'm going to use, I'll just move all of this out of the way. I'm going to use my Glacier ink and just smush a little bit of that down on my all-purpose mat and spray it with some water. Now, the cardstock that I'm using for the base is not a watercolor cardstock, but if you go very lightly, you're not going to warp the page. So the technique for this would be to spray with water, pick it up with some acetate. This is just some packaging off a Christmas ornament pack or a makeup pack. I've just cut that off and kept it. So I've picked up a little bit, and then I'm going to take it off so that it doesn't look like there's too much there, and just put that down on the page. It's a very light application. And basically I want the colour to go where the doilies are going to be placed on the page. And then when I want some more, I can tap it off, smear it round. There's no right or wrong with this. It's just what you like the look of and when you're happy with the finished product. And if you get some harder lines, that's fine. All you need to do, if you want to soften those up a bit, is pick up a little bit more, bend your acetate a bit, and just smear it around. And get some little dots happening. Now I've got this all concentrated on this side of the page. I do have a cluster of leaves and things coming off here, so I'm just going to put a little bit over to this side as well. And that will do. And the way I clean it up is just with my rolled up paper towel and wipe it off. And because I haven't used too much water, that's not going to warp too much. And if I'm worried about it, I could put it underneath some books overnight, but it's actually quite flat. So now I'm going to bring in the elements for the page. Now when I took one of these off the Cricut, I did tear it a little bit. Being a brand new mat, I didn't quite bend it back enough, but that's okay because I can hide that. And I'm going to have the vellum doilies coming off the edge of the page. Now, up in this section here, there's not going to be terribly much, so I'm going to put my adhesive down the bottom. Once it's in a page protector, you're not going to notice that that's not really attached to the page at all. And then I'm going to bring in this other doily, and I know that I've got things at the top left area and over to the right as well. And I can always bring in more embellishments if I want to hide this tape runner that I've put down, which I probably will add more to it with some dots and things like that. So there's always ways to hide the adhesive with embellishments, dots, wooden elements, photo holders. You're not limited at all. Now I haven't pushed too hard, says me, because I know that I want to tuck some leaves and things behind this. Now I've got some New England, not New England ivy, this is fern leaf sprigs, but I found this up against the French vanilla and with this fresh sort of cherries and the glacier a little bit harsh. For the other leaves I've used avocado, both the light and the dark shade, but I wanted another leaf as well. So what I've done is just simply sponged this with some white pigment ink. So I'll just collapse my glacier. These ink pads are our old style. We have lovely magnetic ones now, but these ones still have plenty of ink in them, so I haven't replaced them yet. So I'm just going to use the ink blending tool and just do a little pounce and lightly add some white ink. I don't want to cover the whole lot of it. I just need enough to tone that down just a little bit. Even the light side of the fern was a little bit too dark, and sage wasn't quite the right colour that I was looking for. So that's enough ink for that. It's really quite quick to do all of these leaves. And I could do that straight onto my all-purpose mat, but I've just cleaned it, so I'm just using an insert from one of our stamp sets. So now I'm going to adhere these down. Tucking them around. I'm not going to press too hard. And each time I've got this grouping of leaves, I'm going to use one with the darker shade of avocado on the top and one with the lighter shade of avocado on the top. I need to tuck this one down just a little bit more so that that area at the bottom is covered by the doily. And in Design Space, I've flipped some of them so that they're not all the same way. So some of the sprigs I want coming down this way rather than up. So I'm a little bit mindful about the placement of these, but it's just whatever's pleasing. But you can see how the glacier smushing of the ink behind it is just giving these things a place to live. For this left page, I really wanted this 6x4 photo to stand out. So I've cut the design. I've left one of the designs from the Eat, Play, Love. It's got this little tab at the top. So I'll just adhere. And I can see where my adhesive is here, so I'm just going to place my photo holder over that so that you can't see it at all. Now I've got some little vellum hearts. I'm just going to bring my T-ruler in to see if I've got that straight, and I haven't. I'll just fix that a little bit. And my vellum hearts, I'm going to put here, and this is from a mix-in, the current mix-in pack. Love this little pattern, and I've used it before with the Eat, Play, Love papers. So the vellum heart's going to go there, and I will pop this one up on some foam tape. I'm going to have it come across where the photo is, so I won't peel this part of the foam tape off. I'll just do it on the one side because I want to be able to tuck my photo in underneath that. The next thing that I've got for this is the title, which is Love This. I am, talking of love, I am loving the new offset feature. So I've used the offset to create a vellum piece that is larger than the text, and then I've used offset as well to create an overlay. So I'm going to adhere all of this together off camera. I have got the I and the middle of the O, but you don't need for me to put it all together and you sit there and watch it, but I just wanted to show you the three pieces that you can get with this great new feature. I really love how that looks. And when you put it on the page, having the bit of vellum, and then I'm going to start tucking these parts in as well. So parts of these are going to show underneath the vellum and give a gorgeous soft look. I've got a little tab to put here as well so that I can put a date or something like that on there. This is something similar to this. There's an overlay part and a white layer to put everything onto. And I want that to be partially underneath the title as well. And because I've just put that there, I know that I can add a little bit more adhesive underneath that doily to keep it secure. And I shouldn't have pressed too hard because I've got one of these to put under there as well. bring in part of this pattern. I've got a little red heart to tuck in. Actually, I'm going to use the smaller one. So this is just building up a cluster that's going to have this housed on the top. And I'm going to put some foam tape underneath all of this so I can pop it up a little bit. Right, so I've got all my foam tape on there to keep it nice and sturdy, and bearing in mind that my photo's got a slip in there as well, I'm going to position that so that I can tuck my photo in. And I love how this looks with the vellum showing underneath the title. It just softens everything up beautifully. Now I've got one little more heart to attach to this page, and I'm going to use foam tape again. And I know that I can put adhesive directly underneath where that is and tuck that in amongst the leaves and the title. So now I've got just a couple of little flowers to finish off the title. And that brings it in with the other page where I've put these flowers as well. And I haven't popped these up on foam tape because there's foam tape underneath the title here. So now I'm going to just sprinkle around some little dots, and then I can put some glue underneath these areas and trim off the edge of the vellum doilies. I'm going to use some black and white dots, and I've got some old Holly Jolly dots that I've kept in my stash. I think the white and the red ones will work really, really well. I might even use a couple of these green ones because they all match in. Even though we didn't have avocado as a colour then, these match in quite well. So I'll adhere those to the page, and then I'll come back with some still shots later for you to have a look at. So you can see here I've got the dots on. I just thought I would show you how I've done this, and I can just tap a little bit of glue underneath those dots, and that will adhere that down. And when I put this into a page protector, nobody is going to know that that's not quite secured. So I'll just flip this over and trim off these overhanging pieces. And you can see on the right side, the doily I've trimmed off quite a bit. Here are the two pages together. I'm not sure I can get this all in a shot, so I will put the still shots up after. I'm really loving the soft touch with the vellum, especially behind the titles and with these doilies as well. Vellum is something that I put in my precious pile all the time, so I don't tend to use it too much, but I think I'll be bringing it out more, especially for around titles and things like that. I hope you've enjoyed the techniques I've shown today with the ink smushing and our pigment ink using Glacier, and also using the blending foam tool to add some white pigment ink to soften up these leaves as well. Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.